Raishin stops the runaway train he and his automaton Yaya are on their way to Walpurgis Machinart Academy. Raishin receives the moniker second last upon entering the academy due to his second worst performance on the entrance exam. Raishin is determined about fighting in the festival, an automaton fighting competition in which only the top 100 students are allowed to enter, and taking home the Wiseman title despite his academic standing. Raishin encounters Charlotte and challenges her and her automaton Sigmund to a battle against which is interrupted by other students. Raishin and Yaya defeat the other students with ease. And after noticing that Sigmund is badly injured, Raishin withdraws from his battle with Charlotte. The next day, Raishin tells Charlotte that he wants the Wiseman title so that he can obtain the forbidden techniques and use them to get revenge. During the conversation, Raishin spots Magnus passing by and confronts him. Knowing that he would lose in a battle given the extreme differences in skill level, Raishin gives Magnus a small jar instead of challenging him to a battle. Felix, the discipline committee chief, engages Raishin to eliminate an unknown entity known as Cannibal Candy, which has destroyed many automata and caused the disappearance of 26 students, in exchange for entry into the festival. Charlotte asks Raishin to go on a date, and he accepts much to Yaya's dismay. On their date, Raishin explains his background and that he only began studying 2 years ago, which explains his poor academic performance. Charlotte confesses to Raishin that she committed a terrible sin in the past. After the date, Raishin and Charlotte happen upon another Cannibal Candy crime scene. At the crime scene, Raishin and Charlotte run into Felix, who scares Charlotte away. Back at the dorms, Raishin gives Yaya a pair of boots and tells her that he went out with Charlotte to confirm that she is not Cannibal Candy. Raishin receives a phone call from Lysette telling him that Charlotte is missing from her dorm. Shoko makes a visit to the dorms with Irori and Kamarasaki. She tells Raishin that automatons are not humans and recalls the time she met Raishin. Lysette takes Raishin to an automaton laboratory. After Raishin deduces that Lysette was present at the scenes of the crimes, he discovers Lysette's preserved corpse in Felix's locker and that the Lysette that he had been talking to is actually a banned automaton. Outside the laboratory, Charlotte defeats an automaton, but it is a trap set by Felix to frame her as Cannibal Candy since a number of Eve's hearts were found in her dorm room. Charlotte figures out that Felix is Cannibal Candy and that he planned to have Raishin eliminate her. Felix is about to kill Charlotte when an injured Raishin and Yaya arrive. Raishin and Yaya learn about Charlotte's past from Sigmund. Charlotte's family was distinguished for making automatons, but the family was stripped of everything when the young Prince of Wales was injured by one of her automata. Thus Charlotte attends school on a scholarship and is saving up to buy back the Eve's hearts from her family's automata and hopes to be reunited with her family someday. Lysette is revealed to be Felix's automaton, Eliza, who is capable of absorbing magic abilities from automatons she devours. As she and Yaya fight, Eliza's body turns into mist trapping Yaya within. But with Yaya's blood spilling on Eliza, the effectiveness of Eliza's attacks decreases as only one type of magic can be utilized at a time, and she is destroyed. Following the battle, Raishin is honored and granted entry into the festival despite his poor grades, and Charlotte gives Raishin a pendant with defensive capabilities as a gift for clearing her name. Raishin and Yaya enter their dorm room and see Frey caught in a trap that she had set for Raishin. Later that day, Frey builds another trap by building a cage only to become trapped in it herself. Her brother Loki arrives to warn Raishin that puppeteers have taken notice of him for beating Felix and Eliza, and that it would be in his best interest to withdraw from the festival. Raishin refuses. That night, Frey sneaks into Raishin's bed in another assassination attempt, but falls asleep instead. The next day, Charlotte informs Raishin about Divine Works, the shady automaton manufacturer that sponsors Loki and Frey and obtains magic circuit patents through bribery. Frey's automaton rabbi goes rogue and attacks Raishin and is knocked unconscious by a stun grenade. Raishin brings Kamarasaki with him on a reconnaissance mission to the orphanage Loki and Frey grew up in. As they wait, Yaya and Sigmund discuss what being human is all about, and Yaya is suddenly attacked. Yaya regains consciousness after being badly damaged by the attack, but is in need of repairs by an expert puppet maker. At the orphanage, Reishin and Kamirasaki meet Yomi, the prototype automaton of the Garm series that is about to be disposed of. Yomi shows them around the orphanage, and they learn about Frey's background. They end up in a lab where illegal experiments on humans take place when the alarm sounds. Reishin, Kamirasaki, and Yomi are pursued by the guards through the sewers, and Yomi tells them that if Frey loses during the festival, the Garm series of automata will be disposed of and be replaced by the Angel series. Critically wounded after protecting Reishin from gunfire, Yomi sacrifices herself to allow Reishin and Kamirasaki to escape. Reishin meets up with Shoko in his room, and she orders him to remove Rabbi's magic circuit. The Walpurgis Night Festival begins with Reishin battling Loki instead of Frey. Reishin is severely wounded after taking the hit from Cherubim in sword form to protect Yaya. With Reishin lying unconscious, Loki, realizing that Yaya would fight back aggressively, walks away and opts not to take his glove. Loki is scorned by Bronson for dropping his rank from 7 to 99 to keep Frey out of the fight. Reishin wakes up in the infirmary as the attack missed his vitals. Outside the infirmary, Loki and Frey fight each other. Rabbi goes berserk and starts draining Frey's blood and absorbing its magical power. Just before Rabbi hurts Loki, Reishin intervenes and the two of them stop Rabbi. Reishin learns that Frey is a synthetic white medium, a child with great magic levels due to artificial installation of a magical circuit in her heart. Reishin and Yaya return to the orphanage only to find the Garm automata have already been scrapped. They are ambushed and Loki arrives on the scene. Kimberly brings Frey and Charlotte to the orphanage to observe the fight. Reishin and Loki battle Bronson's automaton, Lucifer, the latest model of the Angel automata, who overwhelms Yaya and Cherubim. Bronson explains that he brought Frey and Loki from America to be test subjects for his experiments for the progress of mankind. By working together, Yaya and Cherubim destroy Lucifer as Cherubim engages him in direct combat, while Yaya uses explosives hidden in her sleeves to disable his jet circuit. Bronson is about to shoot Reishin and Loki, who have both collapsed from injuries, when Kimberly brings the Crusaders in to arrest Bronson for experimenting on children. Reishin and Loki are brought to the infirmary where Yaya, intent on treating Reishin herself, stirs up trouble. Reishin notices a girl falling from the roof and Yaya saves her, while Charlotte and Sigmund destroy the Academy's clock tower. The girl whom Yaya saved is Charlotte's younger sister, Henriette, who has made several suicide attempts. Realizing that the attack on the clock tower contradicts Charlotte's nature, Reishin goes searching for her. Cedric sends Charlotte to see Reishin with a warning for him to stay away from Henriette. Frey locates Henriette with her automata just before she hangs herself. That night, Reishin is ready to face the 87th ranked puppeteer who does not show up. Henriette makes another suicide attempt, but is stopped by Charlotte. Reishin learns from Kimberly that the Academy's headmaster Rutherford is being targeted, and he deduces that the Kingsford family is involved. The next day, Reishin spots Rutherford by the ruins of the clock tower and sends Yaya to contact Shoko. He sees Henriette headed towards the ruins, and when Sigmund unleashes a luster cannon attack, the ground underneath their feet collapses, causing Reishin and Henriette to fall. Yaya attempts to follow Reishin, but is stopped by Kimberly, who warns her that she is being watched. Shin escorts Charlotte back to Cedric, who lashes out at Charlotte for the roundabout approach of her assassination attempt. Reishin and Henriette navigate underground, and while resting, they find common ground as both were considered to be inferior siblings. They later encounter Magnus and one of his automata who resembles Nichiko, as well as Rutherford. Shin attacks Reishin, but Magnus's automaton intervenes and forces Shin to retreat. Back on the surface, Reishin is reunited with Yaya. Back in the dorm, Reishin tells Yaya that his late parents had arranged for a marriage for him. That night, Reishin's opponent for the festival fails to show up for the third straight night, and he devises a plan to draw out the conspirators by kidnapping Henriette. Cedric orders Shin to retrieve Henriette and kill Reishin, while Cedric tortures Charlotte as a way to satisfy Felix. Shin approaches Reishin and engages him in battle. Shin wounds Ration but retreats due to the unexpected appearance of Loki and Frey. Back at the infirmary, Henriette tells Ration that she is at fault for letting the automaton that attacked the Prince of Wales go rogue, and also tells him that she had been trying to kill herself so that Charlotte would not be burdened with her life. Meanwhile, Sigmund begs Charlotte to stop the assassination, and Ration arrives to tell her that killing Rutherford will make her dream of restoring her family's status impossible. Unable to see things Ration's way, Sigmund and Yea fight. Ration knocks Charlotte off Sigmund and finally convinces her to stop the assassination. Shin appears and calls himself a divine being called a machine doll for being able to operate without a puppeteer supplying magic. Shoko recalls the past when she gave Ration a new lease on life on the condition that he kill Tenzin, or else she would use his body parts to build an automaton. Before Ration fights Shin, Charlotte tells Frey the truth about her situation to keep Ration from putting himself in danger. During the battle, Ration gets Shin to attack from behind where Yaya is waiting for him. She slams Shin into a brick wall and repeatedly throws punches to immobilize him. Sigmund follows up by firing his luster cannon. Shin dodges the attack, thereby confirming the presence of his puppeteer, as he could not have dodged the attack without a puppeteer resupplying him with magic. Frey locates Cedric and Yaya activates her final stronghold ability to defeat Shin. Cedric and Shin retreat, and Cedric reveals herself to be the 87th ranked puppeteer, Alice Bernstein. Having watched the battle from a distance, Kimberly warns Magnus that as Tenzin Akabane he is being closely watched, and that manufacturing human life is magic's greatest taboo. The next day, Ration recovers in the infirmary, and the girls stir up a big commotion over Ration's presumed preference over girls with large breasts, which greatly upsets Charlotte. Kimberly drops by to inform Ration that the clock tower will be rebuilt using the Ballou family fortune that was confiscated and frozen following the incident, and that Henriette's enrollment has been voided, but that she will remain at the academy as Cruel's lab assistant. After everybody but Yaya leaves, Yaya expresses her concern about having to face her friends, but Ration maintains his optimism, which Yaya interprets as a declaration of love. This is the end of my video. So please watching all of my anime recap series. Thanks for watching.